Welcome, everyone. Before the session starts, I have a statement to read on behalf of the conference. The 2020 Open Education Conference is committed to being a safe, accessible, equitable, and inclusive environment for all. Following our code of conduct is essential to facilitate environments centered on these values in all conference spaces. This session is being moderated to ensure the code of conduct is followed. Please take a moment to reflect on the code and consciously act in ways that build on our open education community and support diverse voices. As a reminder, the session will be recorded and live captioned, except breakout rooms if used. If there are unmet accessibility needs, please let us know as we strive to continually improve. And as a reminder, please remain on mute unless invited to unmute by the presenter. I am now beginning the recording.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today in my session, Everything You Didn't Want to Know About OER, a toolkit that will boost your confidence. As stated in the abstract, this is a session that's geared towards librarians, but it's also relevant to anyone who's working with OER, anyone who is tasked with supporting OER on their campus. And hopefully this will be a helpful tool for you to refer to and to share as well. Before we begin, even though we are meeting virtually and not at the same physical location, I would like to acknowledge the location of the Monroe Community College campus where I work, and also my home in Western New York. Where I'm meeting with you today is the traditional territories of the Onondaga Haudenosaunee people, or the Seneca Nation, and I'd like to thank them for allowing us to meet virtually and learn together in their territory. As I said, I work at Monroe Community College. My name is Michelle Beachy, and I am the Access Services and OER librarian at Monroe Community College. So I have kind of a twofold, which I think many people do that work with OER. There are some people lucky enough to be solely OER librarian, and a lot of us have OER tacked on to what we do or as part of our job responsibilities. So today I'm going to talk about, I'll give a quick OER definition. I think if you're working in OER, you're aware of what it is, but just a reminder of what OER is. We'll talk about why it's important, and I'll talk to you about the OER toolkit for librarians that I created. And I'll give you some resources, and we'll have a wrap up at the end with some questions and comments. So the definition of OER that is widely accepted, they're generally around the same type of description, but from Creative Commons, their definition, open educational resources are teaching, learning, and research materials that are either created and put into the public domain or licensed in a way that provides everyone with free and perpetual permission to engage in the 5R activities. And what are the 5R activities? With whatever is created, you can create something, you own it, you control the copy of it that you have. You can reuse it, which is taking your original, you can revise it, remix it, and share it publicly. Revising it, editing, adapting, and modifying the copy that you have of the resource. And remixing, combining the original or revised copy with other materials. A great example is if you have 3 different textbooks that you want to use that are open, and you want to use some of, chapter 2 and 3 from one book, chapter 7 and 8 from another, and the introduction from a third, and you can put them all together in a remix. And once you've got any combination of any of those creations, you can share copies, either the original or revised or remixed, and share that as you choose with others by redistributing it. So our biggest focus on campuses should be a student success. So, how can we help students do well? How can we help them pass their courses and eventually get their degree or certificate or transfer to another school? By using OER that provides benefits to both students and faculty that can increase student success and completion. So as I said, there are OER librarians. You may be lucky enough to have an OER librarian on your campus, or at least an OER lead. And that person is also doing advocacy for OER. They are liaising between outside groups that work with OER And they're talking with faculty, they're facilitating workshops, they're meeting with administrators and board of trustees, student government, other stakeholders on your campus, and they're staying current with OER sources. And they do need some help to sustain OER on your campus. They need you to talk it up with their faculty and departments. And there's a way to sustain this forward on your campus without one person being the only expert on OER on your campus. So on my own campus, it was, okay, I'm the OER person, I'm the OER librarian. Our OER initiative is based out of our library. So that is my job to head that up. But as I said, needing help, looking to other librarians on my campus who are liaison librarians. They work directly with different departments, so they have a lot more contact than I do. I don't have a liaison area, so they work a lot more directly with faculty. So I'm looking at them saying, how can you help me with what I'm doing? So I would be looking at it like, hey, that's not really part of my job responsibility. Why do I need to know about OER? What is the reasoning? So as I talked about, we're focused on student success. So it's a cost saving for students. That's a no-brainer. Using OER is less expensive than traditional publisher materials. And it's a working towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. Equity, every student can have access to the material on day one or before of the class. No one's waiting for their financial aid to come in or to get their paycheck until they can buy their book. They have it already at the start of class. And diversity issues, not every textbook has a diverse population represented within it, so we can customize, which is also one of the other benefits of OER is customizing. We can make students see themselves within their materials that they're using in their courses. Accessibility, if there are students that have a disability and it's easier for us to change around materials using OER. It's not a static material that we can't change. We can try to make it more accessible for students. As I said, the customizing of the course materials, it's more than just textbooks. It's, things like interactive labs, homework managers. I think quite often we just think about textbooks, but there are a lot of other materials as well that are openly licensed for anyone to use freely. And open pedagogy is a great benefit for all students and for their faculty as well. Having students create learning materials that are more meaningful to them because they have had a hand in, say, for an example, creating quiz questions that they submit to their professor and they're reused during different semesters. So they have more of a meaningful relationship with their course materials. So why did I come about creating this OER toolkit? Stepping back a couple of years, in 2017, I was hired at Monroe Community College as the project manager for a grant-funded program. It was through an Achieving the Dream grant degree initiative where campuses, was a consortium of SUNY, State University of New York, campuses who created a fully OER degree program. And I was the project manager. I stepped in the middle of it, and I stepped in to work with a great team of people who were already in place, 3 librarians and an instructional designer. So they had already been working within this degree development for a little while. I had no idea what OER was. I didn't know anything about it at all, and felt like I was asking a lot of questions of the team that I was working with. And I thought if there was just some place that I could find material that I could kind of get myself up to speed on what's going on. I found that there was so much information in so many different places. There were so many listservs. I really was on OER overload. Like there was just so much out there, which is great because it's available out there, but I just didn't know how to get to it, how to find things. And I really wanted a simple resource that I could refer to. And I thought this would be really helpful for a lot of people. And about that time that I was thinking, oh, it would be great if there was something available that I could refer to. I found this Open Education Leadership Program through SPARC, which is the Scholarly Publishing and Academic Research Coalition. That program, I have a link to it, which will be in the slides when they're shared. The program is the first semester, you learn about OER, you really delve into the open community and the open world, learn about open resources and copyright, Creative Commons, all kinds of things. And the second semester of the fellowship is creating a community resource. So what I decided was this is the perfect thing to do to create this community resource. And I had planned on, at the time, I had switched from the project manager job. I was working within our state system. And I thought I will create this great toolkit for the librarians in my system. And as I entered this program, I was hired back at Monroe in a full-time, not grant-funded librarian position. So I just kind of flipped my model into, okay, I'm going to focus this towards my campus. So what I'm going to share with you today will be what I have shared with my librarians here, which is easily adaptable for any other campus. And I'm also giving kind of a shout out to the session that's on Thursday at 7:30 Eastern Time, titled Open Education Leader Project Showcase. There will be many of the projects, the capstone projects, which we created with this cohort of the SPARC Open Education Leadership Program. Many great materials that are easily adaptable to your own campuses that you can take a look at, and some of them will be talked about on Thursday. All right, so I'm going to get into my toolkit in just a second. I will show that to you. It's going to be, I kind of like to call it like a speed dating with my toolkit, because I'm going to run through it really quickly and then you can take a look at it at your leisure. Also in my slides, I'll have the curriculum for the Open Education Leadership Program, which is great. I will show you really quickly the community resources that you can find with the SPARC Open Education Leadership Program. This is our group from last year. And as you look through, all of our projects are here, our capstone projects. I will scroll down to mine, and there are really some amazing projects that are in there that are really worth taking a look at. So each of us have a final report that talks about our what we created as our capstone project. And if you click into the final report, it will give you a little bit of information about the journey to what we created, what our goals were, and how things worked through. I'm not going to go through all that. Again, you can take a look at that at your leisure. I'm going to jump over to my actual project. And when I started with this, I thought, you know, how am I gonna put this together? How do I want to have this presentable so that it's shareable and that any campus or any faculty or instructional designer may want to adapt this for their own institution. So I decided the easiest way was to put it together as a Google Drive at this point. And at some point I may end up putting it into, you know, some type of open textbook so that it's a little more of a book looking. But I'm going to take a run through it for you. My introduction just talks about, you know, my motivation for putting this together. And this is again geared toward the librarians on my campus. So I'm talking about, you know, hey, you're not the OER lead, but here's some great information that can help you as you're talking in a regular time with faculty. Help me get the word out about OER. So they've got some information on that. First chapter is learning about open education and OER. You know, I like to think that each of these chapters are very digestible. They're not the overwhelming, which was what I was thinking about when I first started, that I wanted something that was easy to get through and quick for me to refer to when I'm working with faculty. So just the definition of open education, that definition I gave you at the beginning from Creative Commons. There is a link to a video from Abby Elder, who was also in one of the Spark cohorts, and she created a series of videos as her capstone project that really walk you through all about OER. This really simple one, less than 4 minutes, you can have your introduction to OER. In New York, our State University of New York OER services group, we have an OER community course experience. So for me, I was introducing this to our librarians. Here's the first video, Understanding OER. Really simple. Again, we're going to go through all of the modules, but we started with that simple one. OpenStax has an introduction to OER text, which is really helpful, and a video, Why Open Education Matters. And again, these can be used not just for you, but for sharing with faculty who are interested in learning about OER. And again, they're just easy to get through. A chapter about copyright and Creative Commons licensing. So information about copyright, what is Creative Commons, how would we use it? There's a video of why Creative Commons came about. From the Creative Commons website, a video explaining how the Creative Commons licenses work, which can be confusing for people who don't normally work with those type of licenses. There's a Creative Commons for educators and librarians, which is a certificate program that you can go through. There is a great brochure. I kept thinking about this again when I was just starting to work through things and trying to figure out what is Creative Commons. People asking me, what are all these symbols? What is this? CC BY, SA, NC? They don't know what's going on. So there's a really simple brochure just showing from the least open type of licensing of copyright all the way up through the most open, and the different symbols that apply, and an explanation to the side. And as well, if you need something else that is easy to get through, here's a chart that is explaining, here's what everything means. Do I need to attribute? Can I use this for commercial use? Can we remix it? Again, very, very easy to share and very easy for you to refer to as well. Chapter on open pedagogy. So just some examples, having students create questions for a chapter of an open textbook, writing introductions to chapters of an anthology. There's some examples of different faculty, someone at the University of Buffalo talking about creating a textbook with students. If you work with an open, you probably have heard of Robin DeRosa, and if you haven't, you probably will. A video, a link to why have students answer questions when they can write them. Because I was talking about students creating questions for tests or quizzes, and open pedagogy notebook that includes examples, and there are some instructor submissions of how they've used open pedagogy in their classes. Where to find OER? Again, there's so much out there. Sometimes it's really overwhelming. Like how do you get to anything? Where do you find it? And sometimes faculty need help in just knowing, you know what, I want to look for some things, but I don't even know where to start. So again, back to our State University of New York, our SUNY course that we would have looked at understanding OER to start with. There's a module on identifying, finding, and adopting OER. Another short list of other repositories. SUNY OER services, we work with Lumen Learning. So there's a link to, we partner with them. SUNY Geneseo, another New York State school, has a great search engine called Oasis. And it is used, that is within the last few years. I think that has been 2 or 3 years. OER Commons has a great bunch of material. OpenStax has a great catalog of peer-reviewed textbooks that are ready to go. Open Textbook Library, Mason OER Metafinder, BC Campus up in Canada. And I always include for my librarians, don't forget, you're not alone. I'm here to help you. So these are just some things to get you through.
Michelle, 5-minute warning.
Okay, thank you. Open Images, there's some links there. You may be familiar with how to find Open Images. There's a Google search, how to find with a Creative Commons license, accessibility, making sure that our materials that are created or that we're using are accessible, some resources with the BC Campus Accessibility Toolkit. Again, our SUNY OER Services has an accessibility checklist. Open Washington has an accessibility module. And in case faculty aren't aware of how to search YouTube for videos with captions, and a link for PDF accessibility. I'm going to speed through and then I can share this with you as well. Where to find OER communities. As I said, it's great working with so many people who are willing to share their work. There's some links to SUNY OER Services, and we also have a Facebook group that we communicate in. Rebus community, again, Spark, a great community. eCampus Ontario has a lot of great information. CCC OER is amazing. You don't have to be a community college to use their Google group, and they're really helpful at helping you find things that you may have no idea, some very obscure topic that someone is looking for. I include a brief description of our OER initiatives at my institution, where we've been and what we've been working on, and I'm planning to also include links to all of the courses that are currently being taught using OER on our campus. Additional resources and readings, extra things for the overachiever maybe, but some other links that are really helpful. Some more things that were created by Abby Elder, who is amazing. I'm sure she's somewhere at the conference today presenting and doing great stuff. And lastly, just acknowledgements that, you know, people who have kind of inspired me and the groups that I've worked with. I'm just really happy to have put this together, and I hope that it's helpful for people. I see someone's asking in the comments. Yes, it is a CC BY licensed resource. So feel free to share, to use. I don't know. It looks like maybe someone shared the link to it in the chat. I can do that again. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you have comments, if you'd like to make suggestions for anything that you think would be useful to include in here. I would love to chat with you about it. And I don't know if there are any questions in the chat that I can answer. I did just share the link. And just scanning through. I don't see any questions. If you want to unmute yourself if you have a question, I'd be happy to answer. I hope you can take this information and use it, add to it, create something for your own institution or for your own use. I see that Carrie Getz, my mentor from the Spark program, is on here. Hi, Carrie. And if there aren't any questions, enjoy the rest of the conference. Hopefully I'll see some of you in some of the other sessions, and contact me if you have any questions. My information is on the presenter page.